in this afternoon's events. I'd like you to join me. In welcoming our invited guests, Councillor Mike Wright, Lord Mayor of Plymouth City Council, your referee, Chris Sage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the live stream of the British Gas Diving Championships here. We want some messages of support and your message for the men coming up as well. There are 3 medal ceremonies. We've got a 3-meter synchro medal to give out from this afternoon session as well tonight. So please stick around right at the end and we will interview the
anymore. But here watching these divers coming out now, you can just see Rebecca.
Been diving for 21 years, and today she was solid, she was accurate, and she caused as little splash as she possibly could on her way to leading her way into the final.
She did. She had a very good preliminary round.
Gemma MacArthur will start the diving with an inward tour. Will probably look at Rebecca as an inspiration in this field, and certainly will. At least she'll playing 4 members of City of Leeds diving. What are they doing right?
Yes, City of Leeds really have a huge following. In the springboard, they're really good.
Start not long now, but be careful. Don't choke. Women's 3 meters of final. Gemma. Disasters, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca diving for ...21 years and dived in 2 Olympic Games.
European season.
Crow with Rebecca, youngest ever. Double British national champion on the woman. metre and 3 metre, and also a common Wealth game finalists.
Well, we did say our little intro. There's Francesca Del Cello chilling out and smiling. Music to chill out with?
I don't think so. I don't think
Three
that's
tenors?
her style.
Big moment for her.
And we have our
Reached the only reached the
Experience here for Gemma MacArthur, and she needs to steady her nerves on this first dive. Nice entry.
from City of Leeds
So
side.
MacArthur starts with 3 sevens, 4 6.5s. That again, we talk about the physique as you get older and get stronger. Lois.
That was a really huge jump for such a little girl.
Lydia Rosenthal getting international experience on the youth stage at the World Juniors and the International Youth Festival.
Seven and a halves and 8 from the judges.
8 in there. Lydia will be. Three divers down, halfway through after this dive.
Five and a half from the judges.
53.65. She comes out in third. Uh, 62.10 from Lydia.
Yes, moving down to Plymouth last year.
Why wouldn't you be? One of them says. Well, because perhaps you like somebody else. Got to be objective. Catherine Torrance, 6th diver of the first round. 5 rounds for these 8 ladies for a chance at the British Gas Diving Championship gold.
And this is like a battle of the inward at 2.5s on this round. Catherine, unfortunately, getting a really good, powerful start to this dive, missing her spot and really over-rotating, scoring 4s, 4.5s and 5 from the judges.
So here Here is the lady that was a silver medalist last year on the 3-metre springboard, an Olympian, and a double gold medal winner this weekend already. Alicia Blagg.
And a great start from Alicia. Forward 2.5 somersaults. With one twist. She's so powerful using that hurdle step, driving into that pressure, out into that.
From Lithuania. Well, there you go. It's only about 20 minutes up the road from Weymouth, isn't it? He was our leader from the preliminaries, Rebecca Gallantry.
Yeah, and almost exactly the same dive as on. Some good scores, 8.5, 7.5 from the judges.
Gemma MacArthur as we go into the second round. Tweets here from Edinburgh. That's Abigail. Well, we'll talk to you about the Fina Diving World Series that's held in Edinburgh a little bit later on. Gemma MacArthur starts round 2 and slightly better than she did on round 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Back 2.5 somersaults. Gets her spot on the board, kicks out as tight as possible, and saving the dive underwater with a slight knee bend, which is a little cheat us divers like to do.
You were talking the other day about the ability to change what's happening out of the water, even though some of your body's already in.
Yeah, absolutely. You can bend and twist and dive forward 2.5 somersaults piked from Lois. She's really flat into that pike shape, chest on her legs, and getting an incredible rip entry.
All tweets saying they're really loving the diving and they want to try the springboard. Looks like fun. It can hurt as well. You've got to get it right. As Brooke will tell you, it's all about training. And in training here is Lydia Rosenthal, one of the stars of the future.
Forward 2.5 somersaults piked. Unfortunately, Lydia doesn't quite get her entry hit.
Brooke is saying slight reductions for a few errors, but nonetheless, Lydia moves to 111.30. This is Grace Reid, coached by Jenny Leeming in Edinburgh.
Back 2.5 somersaults in the tucked position. She reaches back and really pulls her legs in, spinning like a football, coming around, trying to keep the splash down.
Just whipping the water right at the end there. This is expecting a lot from a European Junior Championship silver medalist last year on the 3-metre springboard in the Group A category. So Grace would love a medal at senior level here. She came 4th, as Brooke discussed the other day. That's the worst position to come. She came 4th last year. Francesca Del Cielo.
Oh, and Frankie trying the forward 3.5 somersaults, difficulty of 2.8. This is one of Frankie's newest dives. Squeezing that tuck shape, looking for the water, almost running out of room.
It's all 6s and 6.5s for Francesca. See that strapping on her back once again. That lifts Francesca to 4th, but 3 more to come. This is Catherine Torrance.
Yep, performing forward 2.5 somersaults piked. Only 2.4 degree of difficulty, but she does perform it well. Nice pike shape through the air and a very nice rip on the end. 51.60.
So Alicia Blagg, we talked earlier about coming close. She nearly got herself a Commonwealth Games bronze medal. Her and Rebecca finishing 4th in 2010 in those Commonwealth Games. She finished 10th, the 3-metre springboard, but she'd already have been 13 when that took place.
And that's one of the hardest dives you'll see today from the girls. Back 2.5 somersaults. Piked, squeezing her legs in, slightly bent legs because she's spinning so fast you might not be able to see it.
The last couple, and they've done so well with it. Here she goes.
An incredible effort from Rebecca Gallantry. Reverse 2.5 somersaults, piked. Such strength through the springboard. She looks back for the water, and some huge scores, 7.5 and a couple of 8s.
So those messages on Twitter keep on coming. Look at this, Brombrooke. This is Manuela Morel. She's watching from the other side of the ocean in Brazil. Well, hello, Manuela. We've had some from Glasgow and Sussex.
Unfortunately for Gemma, she didn't quite have the power off the springboard to complete this dive necessary to get the bigger marks. Spinning, squeezing in, but it wasn't quite enough, landing short of vertical.
146.40. That's where she stands. Rebecca led from Alicia, from Lydia, from Grace. Still can change this round 3 of 5. Young Lewis just going over slightly at the end there.
Yes, Lois did really well to get into this final. She hasn't got the highest degree of difficulty in her list, but the dives she does complete are very...
Last year, scoring 323.15 and finishing 11th on that 3-metre springboard. That's in the Group B category.
Nice dive from Lydia, back 2.5 somersaults, tucked, doing really good aerial work, kicking out slightly too late. Scoring 6.5 from all the judges.
Well, she says her aspirations are to reach the Olympics one day. Well, keep training, keep listening to your coaches at City of Leeds, including Peng Lee. And who knows?
Now Grace has used this dive in the piked position in the prelim, and it didn't go so well for her as it is a new dive, so she's gone back to using it tucked, and we can see why. Really good scores from the judges. She should be really happy with that. 1-9 for Grace. All rounds for her.
Keep those tweets coming in. Hashtag BGDC13. BGDC13. We must be trending by now. Francesca Del Cielo.
Yes, Francesca doing the forward 2.5 somersaults with 1 twist. Using a really skippy hurdle step. And as she lines up, she just doesn't keep the splashdown, which will be deducted. 6.5, 1 5.5 and a 7.
George says he's watching 5 minutes away from Plymouth Life Centre. He's gutted he missed the tickets. Well, you're not on your own, George. There was lots of people trying to get tickets, and the ones in our crowd are enjoying every minute of this event.
Catherine Torrance, back 2.5 somersaults with tuck, and a very good effort by Catherine. Squeezes into that tuck shape. Lines up, and a very clean entry. 7s and 6.5, 57.40.
Mickey Wright says she's giving the women's 3-metre springboard a watch. So you should.
Hope you're enjoying.
Hope you're enjoying. She says, sat next to me, having had a holiday in Antigua. So you've got a bit of a pause here. This is the dive that's been shown is not what Alicia thinks she's meant to be doing.
Yes, before we go through to the finals, we do have to write a dive sheet, which is your list of dives that you will be competing here in the final. And we've just got a slight problem with Alicia's.
Some people in Brighton, Ireland, doing the hoovering in Ireland apparently, so they're either in bed or hoovering so far. We've had the messages from Ireland. We've got Emily Taylor in Wakefield. Georgia 1 says she's scoring each diver and she's pretty accurate. Well, there you go. There's a career for you, Georgia. So they've sorted out Alicia's issue. Brooke will tell us what dive she's going to do.
For 3.5 somersaults, quite really struggling to get round and rolling through the water. She's not a happy chappy.
This was the issue line because the scoreboard showed it to be as a tuck.
Yes, which she did. That would be where the problem was.
The same dive but different position.
Yeah.
Just holding on there.
And again, a problem just happening on Rebecca's too. We do get this in diving. We even stood up there cold and on your own. You have to try and do ways to keep your muscles nice and active for the dive that's coming up.
So why don't you explain to the people that Rebecca Gallantry is not holding onto a British flag there. She's actually using a chamois. And what's that for?
We all use chamois as divers. You don't want to be too wet going into the dives, as you will slip off your legs. Some other divers
coming through. He's gone up to 180.05. Interestingly, behind Grace Reed, who he's having a very good British Gas Diving Championship final here in Plymouth.
Oh, and Rebecca struggled as well. It all went wrong on her hurdle step. As she jumps up here, she just jumps backwards off the board. Really squeezing to try and get it around, but she knew she was struggling from the start. 4.5.
Could that be the pause and the delay?
Absolutely, but you can't blame that, as it does happen on a regular occasion, and we do.
He's wide open at this, and we might just have a surprise winner of the women's 3 metre, but there's still 2 more solid rounds to come. Alicia Blagg, Rebecca Gallantry right behind, 180 for. Surprised at the far end of that table, Lois learning all the time. So Gemma MacArthur moving up to 195.60. 7s and 6.5s will get that there for her. And she's just, again, they're not just staring into space, by the way. There is a screen, as Brooke was saying earlier, just on the wall behind the pool. It shows the dive as a replay, and all the divers like to have a quick look, and they like to criticise themselves. So
really jumps up using those legs, looks back for the water and keeps the splash down. And some good scores for Lois, 7, 7.5 and an 8.
So people watching in Liverpool attempting to do physics homework. Well, I'm not going to offer you any help because I don't know anything about physics. There's plenty of physics in diving, surely.
There are. Not that I can tell you. Seven and a half, and a random 5.5 from Judge 6. Yeah, meaning for it to be a 7.5. They just typed in the wrong number.
Some people unhappy. Rebecca says she's not happy because she slept through Tom's prelims this morning. Well,
stay awake for the final.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're of coffee drinking age, go and have some. Some people, Isabella's taking a break from her homework.
At the front, we've got Tom's grandparents here to watch him, see what he can do in the final. And you can see Jack Law in the bright yellow t-shirt. He's got a day off today.
He's sending us a tweet, I'm sure.
And yeah, you can see there the score pads that the judges use to type in the scores. Just a slight problem with one of the judges. They're just trying to change that now.
Perhaps it was that lad who was texting whilst judging. No, he wasn't really. These guys in the crowd are the lucky ones. Although somebody's written all over that lady's top and she hasn't realised. I think it says "I love Tom."
This guy in the yellow can't quite believe what he's watching.
Shocking. He's never seen such scenes. Taught about the waiting.
Oh, and it hasn't put Grace off. Forward 3.5 somersaults with Takshi Hazard is having an incredible final here in Plymouth. Difficulty of 2.8 and some good scores, 6.5s and 7s.
Well, so far, some of the medals have been taken as far as Leeds, but the young lady from Edinburgh might be taking one right across the border here. We've had 4 rounds. She's dived the most consistent of the lot, and she dealt with her pause a lot better than the other two.
She did. Really well done, Grace.
Francesca Dolcello.
Francesca doing a really strong hurdle step into that reverse 2.5 somersaults. She reaches back, squeezes her legs, just reaches back slightly too far on the end, not keeping tight enough in her back. You can see the strapping.
So, Catherine Torrance now.
Catherine doing the same dive as what Francesca just did, the reverse 2.5, getting a lot better entry than Francesca did, but there was a slight twist on the end, which she will get deducted for.
Alicia, reverse 2.5 somersaults, height.
Let's hope there's plenty of water at the bottom of that, by the way.
Oh, and Alicia attempting the reverse 2.5 somersaults piked. Again, Alicia is doing a new list of dives here, using the forward 3.5 pike, the reverse 2.5 piked. Hasn't paid off today, slightly short of vertical. 6, 6.5s, 5.5s from the judges.
Molly says she's making muffins. Apparently, Brooke, you've got a sweet voice.
Thank you. Rebecca in with 2.5 somersaults, 2.7 degree of difficulty, and performing it really well. This is one of her banker dives.
Well, now it's interesting. We are into the final round. Grace Reed, 239.85. Rebecca Gallantry, 237.45. Alicia Blagg, 232.55. Without a sort of failing in any of their final dives. Those three should be the ones that take the medals here. But Grace Reed has a massive chance here to put herself forward for selection for the Euros and the Worlds by saying Into this selection, well, I held my nerve. I did my dives. What more do you want me to do?
Absolutely. We'll see what happens. Final very difficulty, but performing it really well. And well done for getting through to the final. 6.5 and 7.
Lois, the youngest, and at the bottom of the scoreboard, but it won't be about her finishing place for Lois, will it?
No, definitely not. This is all about experience for Lois. She's done really well to make it through to the final, ending on a lovely back 1.5 with 1.5 twists. She is a really pretty diver, and there's just nothing to her which helps her get that rip entry. She got an 8, 7.5 and 2 7.
It's a wonderful score for Lois to finish on. Now, Taylor says she's attempting to paint and watch the diving at the same time. Don't paint the screen, please. Gemma MacArthur leads 2.44.80, but there are plenty to come. And the battle between Grace Reed, Rebecca Gallantry and Alicia Blagg is one to watch towards the end of this round. Final dive. This one is Lydia Rosenthal's.
Back 1.5 with 1.5 twists from Lydia. Only 2.4 degree in difficulty. Again, performing it very well. 6.5 from all judges.
Well, apparently you don't have to be a human being to be a diving fan. Apparently Daniel was watching the diving with his dog on the sofa. So some that's a barking idea. And that's a bit of woof joke as well, sorry. Grace Reed, 2.39.85.
Oh, and Grace finishes her last round with an inward 2.5 somersaults. But will it be good enough to hold on to that gold medal position?
The young diver from Edinburgh has done all she can. Is this the face we're sending to Europe and the Wolves? Because she's held the nerve, 2.9655. Rebecca and Alicia really need something now, don't they?
It's a really good score from Grace in her final. She should be really happy with herself. It is all up to the other two now. See what they can have.
She couldn't have done any more, though, could she?
Absolutely not.
You can see that strapping. Francesca was telling she's not well in herself today, but the strapping proves she's got physical damage as well somewhere.
Back 2.5 somersaults in the pikes position. One of Francesca's hardest dives. Doesn't quite get it round. Landing short of her to one, kicking up splash.
So we're down to 3 left. Catherine Torrance, 1.96.00, was in 6th place at the end of the 4th round. These are the final 3 dives here at Plymouth Life Centre of the women's 3-metre final. 10 metres coming up a little bit later for the men. And this is Catherine's final dive.
Back 1.5.
So, 2. Alicia Blagg finishes on 2.96.00.55 behind Grace Reed. It's now down to this.
Getting 6.5, 5.5, 6, 2 6 and a 7.
A surprise winner, perhaps. So maybe not to her coach and her fellow divers at Edinburgh, but there's a smile right there in the showers. She's a happy, happy lady.
And absolutely so. She expected Rebecca and Alyssa to be winning this, and Grace has just shown everyone that she is ready for the senior circuit.
Well, you think you'll see it all in diving? No, you haven't. The soap in the eye. Rebecca having to wait because of Alicia's problem. It cost her as well. And that is your 1, 2 and 3. What can you say about Grace Reed, Brooke?
I can't wait to see what she's got to do this year now. Hopefully they'll take
That's very is you've got to have it there somewhere, and by winning the British Championship words with our winner Grace, who well, she might be on cloud 9, so I'm going to borrow a ladder from Brooke, but we'll go and do that in a couple of seconds' time.
with me while Alan goes and grabs Grace for that interview. To see what she has to say about winning the British Championships here.
Exactly. And the winner from
Coming up, don't forget we are having a shower as they are finished for the weekend here at the British. You can send us messages on Twitter using the hashtag BGDC13. That's BGDC13, standing for British.
Lots of pauses in procedures up there, but you kept your better than the rest, I suppose.
Well, it builds tension. There is a lot of pressure there. Travel with my pool being shut and just had everything kind of going all over the place, and this is just unbelievable to try to think that all the hard work I've done has kind of paid off.
At the end of the day, this event is part of a selection criteria for things like the European Championship.
Just kind of focusing more on my dives, and then that kind of take care of itself. So hopefully my performance today will help that.
Well for Grace Reed. To come for you. You can find information on that on www.FINADivingWorldSeries.com. 6 hours.
Second home, or was a lot of years in Brooks' career, I eventually managed.
So we're here on the 10-metre platform to do a piece for you. But hold on. 1 minute.
I'm good, but what does it feel like to have to dive off the 10-metre platform?
Well, I first jumped off here when I was 8 years old. And if you look down now, it's actually the height of 2 double-decker buses. And
When he was 14 years of age at Beijing Olympics, and London sent this place skyrocketing in terms of
kids. Amazing bronze medal at the Olympics performance.
is going to be a electric.
It is. I mean, when Tom walks onto the poolside now, girls are screaming. So tomorrow, when they're all here to see him, it's going to be electric.
And boys, is the FINA World Diving Series. If you want some more information on that, it's www.FINAWorldDivingSeries.13.
Well done.
Okay. What I'd like to know on Twitter is, would you dive off this board? Because we're about to.
Come on, Alan.
Yeah, well, I'm now dry.
Thanks. We had a little chat too.
So we're here with somewhat of a celebrity now. Andy, fresh off the back of mainstream television. How's your profile doing?
He's then going to be selecting international teams this year, which is the World Championships in Barcelona.
Busy, busy.
Okay, so we've seen some of the guys on the boards, they're laughing and joking, but they're also very, very serious. What do you do to try and calm nerves as a coach?
At the end of the day, the competition build-up is well practiced and well rehearsed from when these guys are really... Creed. So I think, you know, the events team...
Well, thank you very much. That came back to us. Thank you.
That he did last year at the London Olympics.
Now, remember, keep those messages on Twitter. Coming as well, the hashtag BGDC13. We'll try and read some of those out during commentary like we have been doing. We're off to the commentary position, but this very exciting...